Yes. So we're going to be looking at what sells in the villages, what areas sell the best in the villages. A lot of people want to know, okay, where should I move to? And a lot of times they're obviously moving to some of the obvious areas, whether it's, Lake Sumter Landing, maybe they want to be closer to Spanish Springs, maybe they want to be closer to Brownwood, right? And we're getting more and more people that are moving, south of the Turnpike, south of 44. But, we want to know where are people buying? Like, that's always a question that I have and we get. And if you have that question, by the way, or if you have similar questions, you could always connect with us. Obviously, I'm the broker here at Realty Executives, #1 real estate company in the villages last 20 years. So we sell some homes, but it's not about who sells the most. It's who's taking care of the customer the best. And I think I'm a little bit biased, of course, but I think we do. So this is a map. This is a map of where things are selling. This is this year, right? We're not looking at historic. We're looking at, this year. Where do properties actually sell? And this is what we're looking at, right? So this is this year to date, January 1. Where are we now? 6/28, June 28th, 2024. Let me know in the comments also, what's your temperature, by the way, because some people are just like baking and it's hot here, but we've actually had I think a pretty good summer. It's hot, but I've seen hotter in Florida. And we're finally getting a little bit of rain. So it looks like a typical Florida summer right now. So you're noticing, look on this map, like, the line of demarcation, if we're looking at, let's kind of zoom in and give you a little bit better idea. Okay. Actually, for me too. So I can actually see what we're looking at. Okay. So, 466 is this area. This is County Road 466 right here. Our office is located right here. Our main office is here. We also have an office in Ocala, but we also have an office in Coleman, which is further down, to be located just about right. Oh, actually, Phil's is getting so big, isn't it? It's incredible. Unbelievable. We've been here since 2004, and I'm still amazed. Like, this whole area didn't exist back then, 20 years ago. We're located, if you look at 301 or further down here, we got another office right over here, which is a lot of people thought right here, actually, a lot of people thought, oh my gosh, you're way down there. Well, look, we're actually in close proximity to this whole area here in that office in the Coleman area, which is near the Finney village. So this is what we're looking at. This is where most of the properties in this area, most of the properties are still getting sold north of obviously 44. But if we take a deeper dive and start looking at, okay, where are properties selling? I'm zooming in here so you can have a better look. This area right here, this is County Road 42, the northern end of the villages. And we're seeing in this area right around Chatham, Glenbrook, that's this area right here, right? That's and obviously Spanish Springs area is right over here. Spanish Springs is in this area. So you're seeing a lot of these properties, 115 properties that can be somewhere between Spanish Springs and Lake Sumter Landing, right? Like, that's kind of, this is up Morse Boulevard, right? And you get a lot of the, if you notice, you get a lot of the Spanish names, whether it's Rio Grande or we'll zoom in and take a look at, Alhambra is actually further off over here, Avenida Central, El Camino. These properties here around the Spanish Springs area are still a very desirable area. If you look at the historic section, which is typically the least expensive area, most of them are mobile homes, but you do have some site-built homes. That's this area here where we're seeing kind of east of 441, which is where a lot of the shopping is. And that's why this area is very interesting. Like, if you live here, you have good access to Spanish Springs, shopping, and you also, if you scroll down here, this is Lake Sumter, right? And Lake Sumter Landing, this square. So there's good access by golf cart, both areas, and shopping 441 right there. So that's a popular spot. This area is also very popular. We're looking at, the Briar Meadow. We're looking at Springdale. We're looking at Calumet Grove. That's this area here. You're seeing a lot of homes that have sold in this area. The Marion County section of the Villages, where some people are complaining that, the taxes are higher in Marion County, but you're still seeing, more mature landscaping. There's plenty. It's not as busy. The VA hospital is up here on 42. There is some shopping. You do have access. So it is attractive for some. As you come further, a lot of people are attracted to this area because we're seeing, you have a little bit closer access to shopping on 466 and a little bit closer to Sumter Landing this way. And then, of course, the most popular area seems to be what we see here. And it's a bigger area too. Like it's also like this is between the sixes, this whole area here. And you're looking at the numbers, it's still the most popular spot between the sixes, 466 and 466A. There's a lot of villages here. And we're going to take a look at specific villages in a minute. But this gives you an idea. Okay, there's still a nice concentration. Let's go back here to review, right? 131. You get a lot of properties that are selling here. And then because of affordability, prices are going to be a little bit less there and then a little bit more expensive, but much more in demand here between the sixes. And then south of 466A, which a lot of people don't talk about, but has also become, I think, a little bit more popular over the last 5 years because you are at least, it's a little bit further away from Sumter Landing because Sumter Landing's up there. But it's obviously, brownwood is right here. So you do have brownwood and they're newer because the village is built in waves, right? It moved from the orange blossom section, the mobile home historic section, east of 441, over to 441, Spanish Springs, 42, south, all the way to 466, and then to 466A, and then to 44. Mostly the villages were built in Glen Park off of 466A in waves, and then, of course, south of 44, and then south of the Turnpike. And then now everything seems to be moving east. So, moving from west to east, starting with like Finney, and then all of a sudden it's moving towards Eastport and Middleton and these sections here. And that's what we're seeing right now is the villages is moving this way along the Turnpike. And you're already seeing, by the way, let's look at that. We're already looking at this particular property, which is on Van Beck Circle in MLS, obviously built in 2023, right? New construction, right? That's definitely a thing. And that's in Newell. Newell is one of those newer areas, right? That's what we're seeing right now. Okay, so that's listed by Jude in our office at Realty Executives. So it gives you an idea of what's happening. Okay, let's move back. So now let's look at specific villages. And if you have questions, let me know. You can connect with me at 352-572-3796. You can also put it in the chat, right? Let's look at what villages are actually selling the best. So we're looking at a sample size of 877 properties that have sold. And we'll take a look at this. Right. So right here, what we're looking at is probably about 15 homes out of this 800 that are, in the orange blossom. These are mobile homes, mostly, not all of them, but I think all but 2 or 3. And then, the next one is, you got Marion County Village, more orange blossom gardens. We could actually let's organize it by year built, because that's going to tell us a lot in waves. Right. So even, the oldest home that we have here that sold is on Tarson Boulevard, 1978, like mobiles. Lots of 80s, of course, still 87, 88, 84. That's a thing. And then you're still seeing a lot of properties still built in the 80s and 90s. And obviously most of them, not all of them, most of them are going to be under that 300,000 range. So we're still in the orange blossom section. The one on Lauren Lane is also like it's on the, this was on the golf course, sold for 275. And that's also in the historic section. Gives you an idea. Mostly that's what you're going to see. Obviously in that year built, you're seeing mostly, or you're seeing on the orange blossom section. And then by the time it crosses over, when you start seeing like 1994, then you're looking at like this particular property, the Corpus Christi, that sold for 335. So 325 rather, listed at 335. On Palma, that's actually really close. That's blocks from Spanish Springs, right? And if you were to look at the, kind of the area, it's, it's within minutes of Spanish Springs by golf cart. And, it's in the village of Rio Grande, right? Remember what I said, Rio Grande is near the Spanish Springs area. Okay. So that's mostly what we're going to see in the 90s. Obviously in that area surrounding, and this is another one, San Pedro, right? This is another one that's actually, this is actually not too far away from Lake Sumter either, but also that's what makes that area appealing. Also in the village of Rio Grande, right? And it's sold for 350,000, list price at 375. Also gives you an idea of the, the list to sale price, what's happening right now. More negotiations going on. Not giveaway, by the way, not giveaway, but there is some negotiations going on. Gives you an idea of what's happening. So let's keep going. Let's look at, let's move away from that area. We've got one in Santo Domingo, still very popular, but that's not where all the properties are being sold. Like still, it's still, I mean, we have a significant amount. Like there's a couple hundred homes that are being sold north of 466, about 100 plus around the Spanish Springs area. And we're still seeing that, like everything we're seeing here is still in that right around the Spanish Springs area, Chula Vista, still, now we're looking at late 90s, 1998, 1999. And then now we're kind of moving towards the 466 area. This is in because this is in Sumter County, no longer in Lake County, because some of those properties around Spanish Springs are in Lake County and Sumter. But now we're looking at this particular one. This is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath that sold in February for 171.5. Okay. And this one, let's take a look at the map on this one of where it's sold. Let's see where that is. Let's take a look at where that is. Okay, let me take a step back and then hit the map. We'll take a look. Oops. Well, let's skip that. Not that important, but it's near Spanish Springs for sure. All right, so let's keep going. Let's go to once again more. This one's on Oak Forest. So it's a little bit of a different area now. It's built in 2000, so you're starting to see more properties this is actually a wisteria jasmine model, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but a little smaller, 1,452 square feet is typically what, that's what that square footage is. Okay. And this one, let's see, this is in Polo Ridge. So Polo Ridge is just north of 466. Right, close to Buena Vista. So now you're seeing more properties sell in that area. But let's take a look at, let me narrow it down for you. So let's take a look at, let me do a year built. Let's look at, okay, how many properties, we're going to narrow it down a little bit. So let's go 2004 to 2012. That's going to be most of the properties. in the Spanish Spring, or not Spanish Springs, between the sixes. We go back, sorry, one step. There we go. Let's go to the map. And the map, right? So most of these properties are going to be in the between the sixes. And you're looking at 328 minus probably, let me zoom out and give us more of a number. Still not doing it. I'll zoom in. Maybe it'll give me a number. No, not gonna do it. Okay. So, we're probably talking about, let's see. Looks like about, okay. So it looks like it's about, yeah, it looks like it's about right at 300, right? I'm zooming in. It's like giving me a number right there, right around 300 between the sixes. So that tells you, look, that's exactly, what is that? That's about 300 out of the 800 that we looked at before. So that's a good 30-something% are being sold between the sixes. So that's still the most popular area. And if you look at it, let's kind of zoom in a little bit, where are these properties? I mean, we got a lot in the Belvedere and Tall Trees area here. Looking at, this looks like probably Winifred or something close, right? Let's see where this one is. All right, this is Winifred. A very popular spot. Those are spots that people like to be in because there's close to shopping on 466, and you're closer to Sumter Landing, which is just down the street here, right? If you go down this way. Okay, we'll zoom out a little bit. Okay. And, also what you're right over here, Sumter Landing over here, let's take a look at, this is another popular spot here, this whole area, which is going to be down the Stillwater area, closer to, is going to be Caroline, right? Like Caroline is that particular village, very popular spot there. That's another area that's very, very popular around the Mallory area. Mallory Hill is one of the highest sections in the villages. This area here, now you're going up and down. Let's look at like Buena Vista. You're looking at like Liberty Park is going to be very popular. Sunset Point. This one's in St. James. These are that whole area right around, right off of Bailey Trail. And then St. Charles, still very popular areas that have been very popular for the last 10, 15 years, still very popular. And the prices have really maintained in this area for sure. Okay. And let me know, what village are you in? Are you in a particular village? Do you live in the villages? What's your favorite village? I think is an interesting question. Leave that in the comment section. Let's go to 2012. So it's like all the properties are pretty much in that range when you're looking at the sixes. Let's look at 2020. So 2012 through 2020, and you're looking at, the two main sections here. Obviously, a big part of it is going to be between 466A, and this is a very popular spot as well. And with area, if you think about this, I mean, you're talking about probably about 120, 115, probably about 115, actually a little bit less now. I'm going in just under 100 properties, probably about 90 when you narrow it down between 466A and 44. And obviously closer to Brownwood. What we have to keep in mind is this is a very popular spot. What we have to keep in mind, there's a big difference in geographic area. This is not as big of an area as between the 466 and 466A. So some of those villages, one is Gilcrest, right? This one's in Gilcrest, and pricing is pretty reasonable. I mean, you can get something, 450 was the sold price on that. Let's look at maybe a few others to kind of give you, Pinellas is also in that area. The Eisenhower Rec Center is in that spot there. Brownwood, obviously. It's a little bit of a distance. It's not crazy distance. I mean, there's no crazy distances in the villages, but a little bit of a distance. Golf cart ride. Here's one on Carrotwood that sold for 400. Is Village of Lake Deaton, right? And there's a lot of, if you look at it, there's a lot of the other thing that happens, and the reason why there's not much. I mean, one, geographically, it's not that much, but there is a lot of swamp and a lot of preserve. So there's certain properties that, like this one here, that are either on overlook or pretty close to. This one has a water view that sold for 1.1. Now the list price was 1.25 and sold for 1.1. So obviously negotiating room. And this is a, designer gardenia, in that area. Let me show you. Let me just look at the view. That's what I want to say. Okay. Here's the view. Okay. So good. Golf course and pond view. A lot of these properties, and this is in Lake Deaton as well. Some of these will have like a preserve view, and those are going for more money as well. So, that's definitely a thing. Now let's look at, actually, let me backtrack. Let's look at the newer. Actually, one more thing. I want to show you something because this is fascinating. So I did the search I did was like 2012 through 2020. And what's interesting is that these homes here, this is, in the Finney area, this one in particular, 379, is an Alamanda. And this is, let's see, it's not saying village. Okay, I know it's right around the Finney area. Yeah, Finney. So this one was built in 2017. So already you're looking at homes south of the turnpike. And keep this in mind, already 7 years old. I'd forgotten that. That's right. 2017 is about when they started that Finney area. And actually, that's when we bought that building in Coleman. That was back in, when we did that, probably 2017, 2018. So it's been, 8 years since we've had that building as well, because I saw the growth. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And you're looking at, let me narrow it down. 2017 through, let's go 2017 all the way to 20, let's do current time. So 2017, 2024. Let's look at what's for sale in that parameter, or what's sold rather. And actually keep in mind, there's some new areas. Like this gives you an idea. This one is actually in the historic section. New home or newer home was built and sold. And then you're looking at some areas right around 42, because there was a brief time where the smaller neighborhood that was built. This one was on the golf course. This one was built 2019, and this is actually an Amarillo Sunkissed model that's sold. And this one sold for 352 in the historic section, along the, obviously backing up to golf course. Right. So that's kind of a little bit of an anomaly to help everybody out. Just kind of give you an idea. Like there are some newer homes, newer as in the last 10 years, that were built in the historic section. So let's go back to the map, 2017 through 2024. Obviously some properties in the Fruitland Park, Lake County section. And then most of those properties, obviously, that have been sold are coming along the turnpike and moving east along the turnpike. So, starting with, Finney right here, and then you got some properties here that, in the village of DeLuna, that's just south of the turnpike along 301, built in 2022. That's another thing that's selling. But, look at the numbers. Once again, you're looking at 83 properties in a 7 to 8 year period. And of course, these are MLS numbers. And what typically happens, by the way, one of the things we have to realize is what typically happens with MLS numbers is that we tend to, as homes get older, we tend to do more sales as the homes get older, because the villages typically will handle new construction, and normally maybe the first sale after, that could happen when it's, because you are competing against new construction. Obviously, we do really well with homes that are maybe a few years older. And, as time has progressed, we get more of a market share on the MLS side, more of a market share with Realty executives in the villages as we go further south. And now that the village is moving east, we're starting to move along the turnpike, starting with Finney and moving along as Eastport and Middleton and all that area gets built out. We're starting to do more business that way. So hopefully this was helpful. If this was helpful, please like. If you haven't subscribed, that would be fabulous. Do a subscription so that way I do when I do a market update and what's happening. But I want to give you an idea what is selling in the villages, what villages are selling in the villages, what subdivisions, right? That type of thing. So hope everybody has a great 4th. We probably won't see you before the 4th. Happy 4th of July. Let me know what you're doing for the 4th of July. Anything fun and interesting, let us know. Okay. Hope everybody does great. Take care.